In this segment, we will delve into the 9 phenomena that are commonly reported by individuals in the moments preceding their demise. The passing of a loved one invariably prompts inquiries from bereaved families, such as: what will be their emotional state? Will they experience serenity? Are they at peace? What are the emotional consequences of their absence? Concurrently, the absence of a cherished individual can evoke a profound sense of emptiness, which serves as a poignant reflection of the profound love that was once shared. It is crucial to acknowledge that love is an enduring entity. It undergoes a transition in its manifestation. This transformation is not a dissolution, but rather a metamorphosis. If you have experienced the loss of a loved one, the insights discussed here may offer a sense of solace and perspective. The following is a list of the 9 things that people see at the moment of their death. When a loved one passes, their family members are often left with numerous questions. For example, they may wonder how their loved one will feel, if they will be at peace, and if they will be okay. There are memories that hurt, and at the same time, we feel the emptiness in our hearts as a reflection of the love that was shared. Love never dies, it merely changes form. If you have lost a loved one, perhaps when you close your eyes, you can still feel their presence, and certainly when you think of your loved one, your heart fills with pain. If you have ever felt this way, this video is for you. Today, I will share the 9 things that people physically see at the moment of death. The information in this video comes directly from the Bible, but also from accounts of people who have had a near-death experience. The following video contains information on the 9 things that people physically see at the moment of death. This information is derived from the Bible and from accounts of people who have had a near-death experience. These are people who sometimes reach a state of clinical death, but then return to life and are able to explain what they saw when they died. First, the person sees their departed loved ones. When they die, they see them clearly, waiting to guide them toward the light, which leads them with peace and joy. Imagine your loved one on their deathbed, their eyes closed, but then they open in a new world. There, in the twilight between life and death, familiar faces appear. Those who departed earlier are either a dream nor a hallucination. The subjects are present, awaiting the inevitable with a sense of anticipation, as if they were cognizant of their imminent transition. The location where they await this occurrence is also a space that is believed to be under divine protection, as the belief is held that God is not the God of the deceased, but rather the God of the living, as it is believed that all are alive in His eyes. According to the book of Ecclesiastes, the spirit of the deceased returns to its origin, where their loved ones await their return. There, the dust of the deceased is believed to return to the earth from which it came, and the spirit of the deceased is believed to return to God, the entity that gave it. The individual at death is said to perceive with absolute clarity the presence of their departed loved ones, who serve as a guiding presence. This state is characterized by an absence of fear and loneliness, and is instead characterized by a profound sense of peace and the presence of a warm, enveloping light. The scene in question, as depicted in Psalm 36, serves to reinforce the aforementioned notion. The concept is that of a divine presence, characterized by the notion of a fountain of life radiating from the scene. It has been reported that, at the moment of the deceased's encounter with this luminous phenomenon, those present, often family members or caregivers, are often overwhelmed by a pervasive and pleasant floral scent that permeates the atmosphere. This phenomenon has been interpreted as a sign from the spiritual realm, a whisper from the departed, or a manifestation of the spirits that have come to escort their loved one to a state of eternal peace. In the interest of facilitating a deeper understanding of this phenomenon, it is encouraged that viewers offer their personal experiences and insights in the comments section. This exchange of knowledge can be instrumental in helping others grappling with similar experiences, offering a sense of connection and shared understanding. Many viewers of this video may be experiencing challenging circumstances due to the loss of a loved one. By sharing your personal narrative and acknowledging the shared experiences of others, you can provide a sense of solidarity and understanding. For instance, you may discuss the emotional distress associated with the loss of a loved one, the strategies you employed to cope, or the guidance you received from others during that period. Your contribution can be instrumental in providing comfort and support to many viewers. Moving forward, we will continue our discussion on the phenomenon of a loved one's passing being accompanied by a slight scent of flowers has been documented. This occurrence is often characterized by a sense of tension and drama, representing a dichotomy between the temporal and the spiritual realms. It prompts introspection regarding the fragility of our existence and the fundamental elements that truly matter in the grand scheme. In these final moments, material possessions, achievements, and daily concerns dissipate, leaving behind an enduring bond of love. This intangible connection serves as a unifying thread between those who have passed and those who remain. It is a poignant reminder of our collective mortality and the universal truth that we are all destined to face our own demise. The patient will experience a sense of security, knowing that they are accompanied by their loved ones. The patient will find comfort in the knowledge that their loved one's presence provides a sense of reassurance. The patient will be aware of a profound love that transcends mortality, a love that knows no limits or boundaries. Ultimately, the patient will encounter a state of being guided by the presence of those who have preceded them. This guidance will be perceived as a transition to a new journey, rather than the conclusion of life. The patient will experience a sense of detachment from material possessions. The patient will perceive that all material possessions become unimportant. This is a positive indication, as it suggests that the patient's focus is not on material things. It is possible to cling to anything and transcend directly without encountering any problems. One can imagine the final breath of a loved one, the moment when everything one knows dissipates into nothingness. At that precise moment when life escapes like sand between one's fingers, something incredible happens. In the material world, everything that was once important loses its value. The house one loved so much, the car one cared for diligently, the jewelry, the titles, the achievements all fade away in a sigh. None of it matters anymore. It's as if, at the time of death, a truth is revealed, a truth one has ignored throughout one's life. The transient nature of human life. In the final stages of life, individuals often experience a profound realignment of their values and perspectives. This shift is characterized by a stark recognition of the ephemeral nature of material possessions, wealth, and worldly achievements. It is a realization that these physical forms of accumulation hold no true substance as one transitions between life and death. The concept of death as a release, a severance with the material world, is a fundamental tenet of this philosophy. It signifies the liberation from the confines of earthly attachments, allowing the individual to move forward unencumbered by the material world. The phenomenon of unknown is characterized by a moment of unadulterated, unadorned truth. All that has been fought for, and all that has once caused worry, simply vanishes. The significance of this phenomenon lies not in tangible things. It is not the big house, the money in the bank, or the objects that once defined identity. The question, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul?" suddenly takes on an overwhelming significance. Ultimately, all that remains is the bare soul, free from the ties of the world. This is where the reflection becomes almost universally profound. In the end, all that exists is something. The concept of beyond the material refers to that which is not confined to the physical realm. It is a sentiment that is universally shared, though it may be overshadowed by the demands of daily life. The phenomenon of death serves as a poignant reminder of this truth, one that is difficult to ignore. In that moment of realization, it becomes evident that genuine wealth does not lie in material possessions. The concept of true wealth is not found in material possessions, but rather in one's essence, in one's heart and soul. This detachment, this abandonment of the material world, is a double-edged sword. It can be seen as both a curse and a blessing. On the one hand, it provides a means to transition to the afterlife without the encumbrances of the physical world. On the other hand, it prepares one for a meeting with the eternal. With the divine point, one is therefore encouraged to refrain from accumulating material possessions on earth, where they are susceptible to the ravages of moths and rust, and the theft of thieves. Instead, it is advised to focus on accumulating treasures in heaven. This teaching attains its true significance in death, when the soul is liberated from the physical body. At this juncture, the light of knowledge is at its zenith. bondage, it ascends towards the infinite. This is the final act of liberation. At the end of the road, only what truly matters remains. The material dissolves, and the soul prepares for the great journey. This is a reminder to all of us that in life, the essential isn't in what we own, but in what we bondage represents the ultimate act of liberation, signifying the transition from the material world to the spiritual realm. The physical body becomes a vessel for the soul's journey, shedding its material form as it prepares for the afterlife. This philosophical perspective underscores the notion that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the love and peace we impart to others. In the final analysis, this is the sole wealth that can be carried with us. Turning to the third aspect of death, individuals often perceive their own body from a celestial perspective. This phenomenon, often described as seeing one's body from above, occurs as the physical body departs. The dying individual is often surrounded by loved ones, observing their final moments and the emotional responses of those present. This experience offers a comprehensive view of life's culmination, including the auditory and sensory experiences that occur. It is not uncommon for individuals to bid farewell to their loved ones during this momentous transition. The culmination of pain and beauty is upon the human experience. The final breath of a loved one marks the transition to a state beyond the realm of imagination. The transition is sudden, and the individual's physical presence is no longer confined to their body. Instead, they find themselves in a state of floating, suspended in a liminal space between life and the eternal. From this vantage point, they observe their motionless body surrounded by expressions of pain, tears, and despair. However, their awareness extends beyond the immediate circumstances, as they are present in a place where they can observe their own death as a spectator. This moment is among the most profoundly shocking experiences one can face. The phenomenon of post-mortem experience, or the perception of one's departed loved one, is predicated on the premise that a human being is comprised of both body and spirit. The absence of a physical form, which has been the container for the former, leaves the individual bereft. However, in the aftermath of bodily dissolution, the soul, or spirit, remains. This transition enables a heightened state of perception, characterized by an unobstructed view of the world. Loved ones, once confined within the limits of physical existence, now occupy a space that transcends the physical. This elevated perspective enables a deeper understanding of the emotional landscape of those around them. The ability to empathize with the pain and suffering of others, as if it were one's own, is a testament to the profound love that surrounds the bereaved. The act of weeping alongside those who are grieving is a manifestation of this profound affection, akin to the rainfall that nourishes the earth. It is an acknowledgement of the depth of one's own existence, and the significance of the bond that was shared. The departure of a loved one invariably leaves a void that is impossible to fill. However, there is more to this phenomenon. From a place of observation, a loved one may say goodbye and give a final farewell. There are no words to convey the message. It is conveyed in a language beyond human understanding, a language of the soul. The spirit itself bears witness to our spirit. This testimony is profound, filled with love, gratitude, and peace. It is a silent farewell that resonates in the depths of the hearts of those left behind. The spirit of the deceased communicates with the spirit of the living and bears witness to their last goodbye. And this is, in the process of introspection, a veracity that is intrinsic to our being becomes evident, despite our attempts to conceal it from our consciousness. The demise of an individual does not signify the conclusion of their existence. Instead, it marks a transition, a metamorphosis, and a profound shift in the dynamics of our universe. In this moment of reflection, as one's loved one observes from the celestial realm, they come to the realization that the duration of life is not solely determined by the number of years lived. Instead, life's true essence is defined by the love bestowed upon others, the bonds forged, and the indelible impact left on those who mourn for the departed. I also heard a voice from the celestial realm, conveying a message of profound significance. The voice from heaven declared, "Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, they will rest from their labor, for their deeds will follow them." The deceased's perception of this moment, as observed from above, serves as a reflection of their life on earth. It is a moment of personal judgment, not of condemnation, but of pure truth. In this moment, the deceased realizes what truly matters: love, compassion, and memories. Although they are no longer in their body, their essence, and the impact they have had on those left behind remains. The fourth instance pertains to the visitation of deceased individuals' dreams to bid farewell. Following their demise, some spirits linger on this plane for a brief period, often to visit cherished locations or offer solace to their bereaved loved ones. This phenomenon, among others, signifies the enduring nature of love and affection, which transcends physical existence. The deceased spirit, in its essence, bears a reflection of their life's essence. This moment of personal judgment, characterized by its authenticity and truthfulness, serves as a poignant reminder of the fundamental values that truly matter, such as love, compassion, and cherished memories. The presence of the deceased, though no longer confined to a physical form, remains palpable and profoundly impacts those they leave behind. This farewell moment is often accompanied by a profound sense of emotional intensity, as well as a profound sense of peace, due to the realization that love, despite the termination of life on earth, is an enduring entity. It is a poignant truth that love never ceases to exist, a notion that resonates deeply with those who have experienced the loss of a loved one. The presence of the deceased is still palpable. The spirit departs with a poignant goodbye, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts of those who loved them. This farewell is characterized by a profound sense of tension, overwhelming emotions, and deep peace. In this moment of silence, the deceased comprehends that love endures beyond mortality. This profound truth transcends death. The fourth phenomenon pertains to visits by the deceased to the dreams of living individuals. Occasionally, after death, the soul remains in this physical plane for a brief period. This phenomenon occurs for various reasons, including the need to visit specific places or to offer peace to other family members who were not present during the departure. Consequently, there are instances where the departed seek to provide solace and closure to those they leave behind. The fourth phenomenon is characterized by the phenomenon of deceased individuals visiting the dreams of the living. This phenomenon occurs in instances where the deceased remains in this plane for a brief period following their demise. The purpose of this visitation is to allow the deceased to visit locations that they have been longing to see or that hold significance for them. One of the primary motivations for this visitation is to offer solace and peace to other family members who were not present during the deceased's life and who are grieving their loss. Consequently, there are instances where individuals report seeing deceased relatives in their dreams or sense their presence without being aware that they have already passed away. At the moment of their death, the individual's consciousness and energy continue to exist, interacting with the dreams of those they have left behind. This interaction is characterized by the sensation of their final breath leaving their body, marking a profound shift in their state. They no longer experience the constraints of physical pain or the limitations of mortal embodiment. In the realm of dream interpretation, the presence of deceased relatives is often perceived as a symbol of their ongoing influence on the living. This phenomenon, characterized by the sensation of an energy or presence that remains in the dreams of loved ones, underscores the belief that death is not the end of existence. The individual who has passed away experiences a transition in their state, becoming a form of energy that permeates the dreams of those they have left behind. This transformation is accompanied by a sense of liberation from the constraints of physical pain and mortality. However, the transition is not immediate, and a force that is more potent than death itself holds the individual in this state. From this vantage point, the deceased individual gains a comprehensive understanding of their life's significance and the unfinished tasks that require attention. This heightened awareness enables them to make sense of their departure, recognizing that they have not yet fully left this world. It is as if they have been assigned a final task that must be completed before they can fully transition. From this vantage point, the essence of the deceased was revealed to be pure energy. However, this energy did not immediately depart the physical world. Instead, it lingered, guided by a force that transcended mortality, love. From this new perspective, the deceased's loved ones experienced a profound sense of clarity. They recognized that their loved one had physically departed, yet they were not fully prepared to do the same. There were places that needed to be visited, and there were farewells that had not yet been said. It was as if the deceased had been entrusted with a final task, to complete a sacred mission before transitioning to the afterlife. Initially, the deceased's loved ones sought to visit their sister. She was not present when the deceased passed away, and this had caused her great distress. The deceased found her sleeping, her face bearing the marks of numerous tears. He approached her, leaning over her, and though there were no words, his presence conveyed a profound message. He implored his angels to guard her in all her ways. The deceased's mission was to complete a sacred task before transitioning to the afterlife. First, the deceased visited his sister, who was not present when he died, and this visit caused her great distress. He found her sleeping, her face showing signs of significant emotional distress. He approached her, leaning over her, and though he did not utter a word, his presence conveyed a profound sense of comfort and solace. He was not an angel, but his mission at that moment was to offer comfort and peace. His sister, though still sleeping, felt a sudden relief, a profound sense of calm that overwhelmed her entire being. In that moment, she knew everything would be all right. However, the deceased's actions were not solely for his sister's benefit. He recognized that there were others who needed to say goodbye, even if they were not aware of it themselves. This included the cousin they had not seen in many years and the old friend who had never not an angel, but his mission at that moment was to offer comfort and peace. His sister, though still sleeping, felt a sudden relief, a calm that flooded her being. In that moment, she knew everything would be all right, but it wasn't just for his loved one. He knew there were others who needed to say goodbye, even if they didn't know it themselves. The cousin they hadn't seen in many years, the old friend, never forgotten. Each received a last trace of his essence. He appeared in dreams or in an unexpected breeze, and while they might not have consciously known, deep in their souls, they understood that this visit was his farewell on his final journey. He understood something he hadn't seen in life, that death was not the end, but a transition. Love never ceases to exist, and like energy, like light, he moved through. The subjects were given a final trace of the essence of the decedent. The decedent appeared in dreams or in an unexpected breeze. While they might not have consciously known it, deep in their souls, they understood that this visit was his farewell on his final journey. He understood something he hadn't seen in life, that death was not the end, but a transition. Love never ceases to exist, and like energy and light, it moved through the places and people he loved, leaving a spark of his love in each one. He knew that when he finally crossed over to the other side, those sparks would continue to shine in the hearts of those he ultimately left behind. The time had come for your loved one. He said his goodbyes, offered consolation, and closed all chapters. Now he felt the call of the eternal, a profound peace inviting him to rest. And with one the subject departed this life, having imparted a sense of fulfillment to those he left behind, and with the assurance that God would eliminate all sources of suffering. He then experienced a final, peaceful moment, recognizing that his mission had been completed. The concept of death, sorrow, and pain would no longer exist, as these elements had already transpired. The subject's essence, characterized by his presence, love, and impact on those he encountered, persisted in this world, and printed on the hearts of those he had influenced in a permanent manner. The fifth phase of the process was the observation phase. The fifth perspective is that of observing one's own life as if it were a cinematic production. In this state of consciousness, individuals often experience a shift in their perception of time, perceiving the passage of their life as if it were a film. This transformation allows them to reflect on the positive and negative moments of their existence, leading them to contemplate their level of contentment and happiness. The purpose of this experience is to facilitate the reliving of significant moments and to gain a more profound understanding of the essence of life on this physical plane. The transition of one's consciousness across the threshold, marking the separation between life and death, is a common occurrence. The transition from life to death is accompanied by a shift in perception, where the passage of time and the accumulation of memories are perceived differently. This transformation allows for a re-evaluation of life's significance and the recollection of significant moments. The experience is often described as a cinematic projection of one's life, where past and present moments interweave. This phenomenon can be seen as a profound and revelatory experience, allowing for a new understanding of life's meaning and the moments that have shaped it. In this state, profound and revelatory occurrences take place. The life of the deceased individual is depicted as a cinematic sequence of images, sounds, and emotions, unfolding from childhood to the final breath. This depiction is characterized by its accuracy and clarity, devoid of any fabrication or illusion. The assertion is that nothing is concealed that will not be revealed, nor is there any secret that will not come to light. This is the unadorned truth, the summation of a life revealed in its entirety. The deceased individual witnesses the good times, those days of pure happiness when laughter filled the rooms. In this liminal space, the essence of a life is laid bare for scrutiny. The good times, the moments of pure happiness, when laughter filled the rooms and love seemed eternal, are vividly recollected. However, the difficult moments, the mistakes, the decisions made in the dark, and the words that were wished back are also recalled. It is imperative to recognize that we are all destined to appear before the judgment seat of Christ, where each individual will receive what is due for their actions in the body, whether they be good or bad. This is not a judgment in the condemning sense, but rather a review, an opportunity to truly understand the life that has been lived. The concept of eternal love is often accompanied by the acknowledgement of challenging moments, missteps, and regrets. It is a reminder that all of us will stand before the judgment seat of Christ, where each individual will receive their just deserts for their actions. This is not a judgment that condemns, but rather an opportunity for introspection and self-reflection. It prompts the question: was life lived to its fullest? Was each day savored? Was love fully experienced? Was purpose fully pursued? These questions are profound reflections that resonate deeply with individuals, because ultimately it is not just what was done, but how it was lived, that matters. This prompts the request to number our days so that we may gain a heart of wisdom. In this liminal space between worlds, the wisdom of a well-lived life is reflected. Lived life is what they seek. Amidst all this, your loved one realizes something essential. Life wasn't perfect, but it was filled with moments that defined their essence. The laughter, the tears, the triumphs, and the falls all have a purpose, a meaning that perhaps wasn't understood in life, but now is revealed with astonishing clarity. I end this final review: your loved one is not alone. The divine presence accompanies them, guiding them on this journey of self-discovery. The journey towards self-awareness is characterized by a profound realization that life, though imperfect, was imbued with moments that defined one's essence. These moments, whether laughter, tears, triumphs, or failures, are imbued with a purpose and meaning that may have remained obscure during life. In this final review, the individual is not alone. A divine presence guides them through a process of self-assessment. The concept of God as the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last, underscores the notion that God was present at every moment of the individual's life. Through this process, the individual comes to understand that true happiness lies not in material possessions but in the moments shared and the pursuit of inner peace. With this newfound understanding, the individual feels at peace and prepared to continue their journey. Assessment: the concept of an eternal light, a place of profound peace and beauty, is a common theme in death experiences. It is often described as a place to which one wishes to return, but from which one must also depart. However, for those whose time has come, this light is the destination to which they are guided. Assessment: the journey towards the eternal is characterized by a realization that life, with all its imperfections, has been fully lived. This final revelation is accompanied by a sense of accomplishment, despite the challenges faced. The journey has been completed, and with a light heart and a tranquil spirit, the deceased advances towards the light that awaits them. Assessment: those who have had near-death experiences often report an intense light. Those who have experienced near-death experiences often describe their experiences with intense lights, profound feelings of peace, or visions of a beautiful place, a paradise from which they do not wish to return, but from which they must return because their time has not yet come. However, for those whose time has come, this light is the place they must go, the place they will be guided to, and where they will dwell in that beautiful place that they are always spoken of. Your loved one has reached that moment with which we all face, the instant when earthly life disappears and eternity begins. The experience of death is often characterized by the presence of a luminous entity, a profound sense of serenity, or a vivid depiction of a sublime location, often referred to as a paradise. For those whose temporal cycle has reached its conclusion, this luminous entity serves as a beacon, guiding them towards this ethereal realm. Upon the cessation of their mortal existence, the celestial realm unveils itself as an expanse of unparalleled vastness. There is an absence of trepidation instead, a profound serenity envelopes the individual, permeating their very essence. Suddenly, they are overwhelmed by a sensation of luminosity. This light, however, is not of an ordinary nature. It is radiant, temperate, and pervasive. It draws every fiber of their being, propelled by a force that surpasses any they have encountered in their earthly existence. As they approach this luminous entity, a revelation emerges, a realm of indescribable splendor, a celestial haven, a sanctuary where temporal constraints no longer exist, and the vestiges of pain and suffering become distant recollections. Within the metaphorical confines of my Father's abode, numerous mansions exist. Were they not so? I would have informed you of my intention to prepare a place for you. This was the place that had been prepared for them, the final destination where they would find eternal rest. Your loved one felt an immense peace, something they had never experienced on earth. There was no urgency or rush. The past, with all its struggles and anxieties, disappeared, replaced by a serenity that completely enveloped them. It was as if every wound and every pain were dissolved in the light, leaving only the pure essence of their being. For many, for those who have had near-death experiences, this light and this place are just a glimpse, a brief encounter before they are brought back to life. However, for the deceased, there was no return. This was the final moment of their earthly journey, and the beginning of an eternal existence in that paradise so often spoken of in Christian tradition. The experience of seeing a light at the moment of death is interpreted as an encounter with the divine presence, the glory of God, or the entry into His kingdom. This light is a symbol of God's guidance and love. While the Bible does not explicitly describe the experience of light at death, the Bible contains multiple verses that elucidate this concept within the Christian faith. God is characterized as light in the Bible, serving as a symbol of His holiness, purity, and glory. According to John 1 verse 14, God is defined as light, and in Him there is no darkness. This light symbolizes the truth and eternal life that God offers. According to the Christian faith, the concept of light symbolizing God's holiness, purity, and glory is a fundamental tenet. The book of John, specifically verse 1, states that God is light and that there is no darkness in Him. This light, therefore, represents the truth and eternal life that God offers to all who believe. In the context of a deathbed, the appearance of a light to a dying individual is commonly interpreted by Christians as an encounter with the divine, characterized as a pure and resplendent being. Jesus is portrayed as the light of the world in John 8, stating, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness." According to the Christian belief system, at the moment of death, a person is said to experience a vision of light, which is often interpreted as an encounter with the divine. This vision is believed to be a fulfillment of the promise of being guided into the kingdom of God. The conceptions of light and darkness, as well as the notion of a divine being as the source of light, are significant themes in Christian theology. The concept of the light of life is a prevalent theme in various religious doctrines, particularly in Christian theology. It is often interpreted as a metaphor for the spiritual enlightenment that is attained through faith in God. According to the book of Revelation, the New Jerusalem is depicted as a city that is self-illuminated, not requiring sunlight or moonlight, as its radiance is attributed to the divine glory of God. The presence of a lamb is also described as a source of illumination, further emphasizing the notion that the light experienced by the dying is a preview of the divine splendor. This imagery serves to underscore the belief that spiritual enlightenment, symbolized by the light, is a foretaste of the ultimate divine presence. In the book of Revelation, the New Jerusalem is described as a city that requires neither sun nor moon to shine, for the glory of God illuminates it, and the Lamb is its lamp. This apocalyptic image serves to reinforce the notion that the light witnessed by the dying is a foretaste of the glory of God, a welcome into the divine presence in heaven. As a loved one moves toward the light, everything becomes clearer. They understand that life on earth is merely a preparation, a stage before reaching this final destination. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. In this place of peace, they understand that the true purpose of life is to prepare for this moment, to reach this place where the soul finds its eternal home. And so, with one last look at the world they left behind, your loved one fully surrendered to the light. There was no sadness, no. The process of parting from loved ones can be accompanied by profound emotional distress. However, it can also be accompanied by a profound sense of fulfillment, stemming from the realization that one has achieved one's life purpose. At this moment, one may know that one is exactly where one was meant to be, in a place where one will live forever in peace and harmony. The seventh purpose of life is to discover significant revelations about one's existence and purpose. One may learn that everything one experienced was for one's benefit and spiritual evolution, that nothing happens by chance, and that everything was a choice. Then, one may realize that one's path has been fruitful, that one's spiritual evolution has been considerable. The deceased has transitioned from the physical realm to a state of spiritual transcendence, where the conventional concepts of time and space become irrelevant, and consciousness becomes absolute. This transition marks the cessation of pain and confusion, and the emergence of profound clarity regarding the life the deceased left behind. In this state, the deceased experiences a profound realization that their life had a purpose. As their consciousness navigates this new dimension of existence, a revelatory understanding unfolds. Every moment of the deceased's life, regardless of its perceived insignificance or transcendental significance, was integral to a larger design, suggesting that nothing was random. It is evident that all things are subject to a universal temporal order, one that encompasses all aspects of existence. This realization leads to the acknowledgement that every moment, every emotion, and every act of decision-making is intricately woven into a larger plan, one that individuals have the autonomy to choose before birth. This profound understanding enables the realization that one's existence is not merely a sequence of days, but rather a journey of spiritual evolution. The challenges and trials that individuals encounter are not merely punitive or random occurrences, but rather opportunities for personal growth and refinement of the soul. These challenges act as a sort of crucible, shaping individuals' characters and refining their spirits under pressure. The notion that a divine being or force has initiated a process in an individual's life and will continue to nurture and complete it until the return of Jesus Christ is a central tenet of this philosophy. The spiritual development of the subjects was evident in each phase of their lives, as they strived to perfect their spirits. The revelation of this intense tension was a moment of profound introspection, during which the weight of their decisions and experiences was felt acutely. The subjects were compelled to reflect on the fruitfulness of their lives and whether they had fulfilled the purpose for which they came into the world. Through this introspection, they arrived at a resounding affirmation: their lives were successful not in worldly terms but in terms of their soul's evolution and growth. Their spirits had expanded and evolved, and they had learned the lessons they were meant to. This profound realization led to a period of deep reflection, during which the subjects realized that, in the course of life, it is not uncommon for individuals to become engrossed in the superficial aspects of existence, thereby overlooking the fact that their presence on earth is intended to serve a purpose that extends far beyond mere physical existence. It is essential to resist the conformism prevalent in society and instead undergo a transformation that involves the renewal of one's mind. It is at this juncture that an individual comes to the realization that authentic transformation cannot be achieved through the accumulation of material wealth or the pursuit of external validation. Rather, true transformation is cultivated through the nurturing of spiritual qualities such as love, forgiveness, and the ability to find inner peace. As each revelation envelopes him, he experiences a state of clarity, devoid of any doubt or regret. He comes to the understanding that every experience, whether joyous or sorrowful, every act of love and every misstep, was an integral component in shaping his personal journey. The subject perceives the enigma to be complete, and it is evident that divine intervention manifests in every facet of existence, ultimately leading to a state of profound spiritual enlightenment. The concept that all things work for the good of those who love him is particularly salient in this context, as it underscores the notion that even the most enigmatic occurrences serve a higher purpose, contributing to the spiritual evolution of the individual. Consequently, this novel comprehension has imbued the subject with a sense of readiness to pursue his subsequent journey. He has successfully fulfilled his designated mission on Earth, acquired the necessary lessons, and is now prepared to transition to the subsequent phase of his existence. He acknowledges that his journey does not culminate here, recognizing the perpetual progression of the soul in the afterlife. However, he approaches this transition with a sense of serenity, secure in the knowledge that he has exerted his utmost efforts and lived a complete life. Meaningful life. In this final moment of revelation, he bids farewell with love, bequeathing a legacy of wisdom and growth. His earthly journey has reached its conclusion, yet his spirit endures, imbued with peace, wisdom, and the unshakable conviction that all transpired according to divine plan. Number 8. Seeing Beyond. As you embark on your spiritual journey toward the light. As one transitions toward the light, one begins to perceive others, those who preceded one, loved ones who await one with unconditional acceptance. Blessed are those who are invited to the wedding supper of the Lamb. In this realm, what mortal eyes can perceive, souls congregate in a jubilant reunion. There is no more pain, no more suffering, only the purity of being. In this state of being, one is able to perceive the presence of others. These individuals, who have passed on before, are regarded as cherished loved ones, awaiting one's arrival with unreserved enthusiasm. It is a privilege to be invited to the nuptial feast of the Lamb, a sacred gathering that transcends mortal comprehension. In this realm, souls congregate in a jubilant reunion, unbound by the constraints of mortality. The prevailing sentiment is one of unadulterated love, a love that surpasses mortality and encompasses the entirety of existence. However, the experience does not merely consist of a reunion. The surroundings undergo a continuous metamorphosis, transforming into a visually exquisite landscape that defies description. This new environment is strikingly different from anything known on Earth, yet it simultaneously feels intimately familiar, as if the imagined paradise of one's youth has become a tangible reality. Before one's eyes, the concept of triumph over adversity is embodied, promising the acquisition of all things. This notion is further reinforced by the assertion that the individual in question will become the divine Son, and the divine will become their God. This sacred space, described as an eternal home, signifies the fulfillment of all promises. The new heaven and earth are characterized by their majestic state, unmarred by the corruption of the former world. The visual elements are described as more vivid, and the atmosphere is described as pure. In the new heaven and new earth, the streets are paved with pure gold, and the presence of God is palpable throughout the city. Revelation 21 verse 27 states, "The streets are paved with pure gold, and the city is clear as crystal. The walls are adorned with precious stones, and the gates are made of giant pearls, always open, inviting all who have been redeemed as they walk these glorious streets." As stated in Revelation 21 verse 8, "The one who overcomes will inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he will be my son." This is the promised place, an eternal home where all promises are fulfilled. In this new heaven and new earth, everything is majestic, untainted by the corruption of the old world. The colors are more vivid, and the air is purer. Every step leads to a place where everything is perfect, immaculate. In Revelation 21 verse 1, it is written, "I saw a new heaven and a new earth." The first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. As one's loved one enters this new realm, they are in the holy city, the New Jerusalem. In the book of Revelation, it is stated, "The New Jerusalem comes down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband." Revelation: the streets are paved with pure gold, clear as crystal. There is no night here, for the presence of God illuminates every corner. The walls are adorned with all kinds of precious stones, and gates made of giant pearls are always open, inviting all who have been redeemed as they walk these glorious streets. In the heavenly realms, the streets are paved with pure gold, reflecting a brilliance akin to crystal. The divine presence pervades every corner, ensuring there is no darkness. The walls are adorned with precious stones of various hues, and gates made of giant pearls remain perpetually open, inviting all who have been redeemed to traverse these resplendent thoroughfares. As they walk, they realize they are not alone. They are surrounded by angels, beings of unparalleled beauty and purity who accompany them with melodious songs. The voice of angels can be heard around the throne, along with that of the creatures and the elders. The number of angels is said to be 10,000 times 10,000. The soul, guided by celestial beings, approaches the divine throne, where a vision of unparalleled splendor and power awaits. The soul witnesses God, enveloped in a luminous presence so resplendent that direct observation is not possible, yet its essence permeates every fiber of the soul. The vision culminates in the soul's presence before the throne of God. The soul, having reached the celestial throne, beholds a vision of divine majesty and power. Surrounded by a luminous glow, the divine presence is perceived in every fiber of the being. The appearance of the throne is described as jasper and carnelian, with a rainbow-like hue of emerald surrounding it. Before the throne, a sea of glass, clear and tranquil, reflects the purity of the divine. This encounter with the divine is depicted as the ninth meeting, where the soul becomes aware of its new life and experiences a profound sense of tranquility. The soul, having reached the conclusion of its mortal existence, encounters a profound sense of fulfillment and radiant clarity. This moment of realization, characterized by a sense of fullness and radiance, marks the culmination of the soul's journey. As the heartbeat ceases, all that was previously known dissipates into a faint whisper. The soul finds itself in a radically different realm, one where temporal boundaries dissolve and a profound sense of peace envelopes it. Pain and fear dissipate, leaving behind a deep and abiding calm that pervades every aspect of the being. The subject's loved one has passed away. The final heartbeat signifies the conclusion of the mortal existence, causing all perceptible phenomena to dissipate into a state of insignificance. The subject's being is now immersed in a state of profound serenity, devoid of all discomfort and trepidation. This transition unveils a profound sense of presence, which the subject had previously been oblivious to. The sensation is described as an overwhelming affection, a force that envelopes and permeates the subject's consciousness, transcending articulation. The profundity of this sentiment defies verbal expression. The subject's perspective is initially obscured, as if perceiving through an opaque medium. However, there is a subsequent shift, where the subject is able to observe their loved one with unobstructed clarity. This encounter facilitates the realization of what has previously been obscured. At this moment, the individual experiences a profound sense of connection with a higher power, which has been a constant presence in his life, although it may not have been fully recognized before. This encounter is characterized by a sense of overwhelming love and acceptance, which is difficult to articulate in words. The individual's perspective undergoes a significant shift, allowing him to perceive the divine presence with clarity and depth. This encounter transcends any earthly experience, offering a sense of enlightenment and self-realization. The individual perceives a luminous presence, which is perceived as more radiant than the sun, yet this light does not cause blindness. Instead, it serves to reveal the true nature of the divine. The individual's perception of God shifts, moving from a distant and inaccessible figure to the very essence of all that is good and true. Under this light, the individual recognizes himself not just as a finite being, but as a part of a divine plan that is eternal. This experience marks a significant transformation in the individual's spiritual and existential understanding. The experience of encountering the divine can be described as a moment of pure revelation, during which all doubts and fears dissipate in the presence of the sacred. The individual experiences a profound sense of peace that surpasses any earthly sensation. This encounter is characterized by a sense of profound joy and the assurance of eternal pleasures. It is important to note that this sacred encounter is characterized by unconditional love and absence of judgment or condemnation. The experience transcends the perception of a mere light or presence, but rather, it signifies a comprehensive comprehension of the divine nature and the profound implications of being a part of God's creation. In the presence of such revelations, the individual comes to understand that God is not merely the creator, but the origin and culmination of all that exists. This encounter fosters a realization that every moment of life is known to God, and every step taken is leading to this sacred meeting. The experience of encountering the divine is not merely a visual or sensory phenomenon, it is the profound realization of the nature of God and one's place in His creation. In this moment of epiphany, the individual acknowledges that God is not merely a creator but the origin and culmination of all that exists. This encounter leads to the realization that every moment of life was known to God and that every step taken was leading to this moment of truth. Even before words can articulate, the individual experiences a sense of profound gratitude and awe, which serves to diminish the perceived weight of life, including its joys and sorrows. This encounter ultimately results in a merging of souls, a state in which the individual no longer perceives a separation from God but rather experiences a complete union with the divine. It is a return to one's place of origin, a reunion with the source of being. The encounter with the divine is characterized by a profound sense of gratitude and awe, which engenders a sense of release from the burdens of life. This encounter marks a unification of the soul with the divine, leading to a state of complete unity and belonging. The experience of encountering the divine is often considered the pinnacle of human existence, representing the culmination of an individual's journey and the beginning of an eternal state in the presence of the divine. Your loved one surrenders completely, knowing he is in the arms of a love that never ends, in the presence of a God who knew and loved him since before the beginning of time. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And so, with indescribable peace, your loved one loses himself in the eternal light of God, where he has finally found his true home. If you were surprised by what people see when they die, you won't want to miss the next video. The following video will appear on the screen and address the scriptural teachings on cremation after death, a subject of interest to many individuals seeking a deeper understanding. The subsequent video will explore the scriptures to identify answers and reflections that may offer solace and clarity. Please click on the video to continue your journey of knowledge and faith with us. We look forward to your participation.